Let's talk about Growing Threat from March of the Machine. Our commander is Brimaz, Blight of Oreskos. For 2 white-black, we get a 3/4 Phyrexian Cat. Whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or an artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. Create an incubator token with X +1/+1 counters on it, and pay 2, transform this artifact. It transforms into a 0/0 Phyrexian artifact creature token. At the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control this turn, proliferate. So the cards I think we should consider adding to this deck: Anrakir the Traveler. Whenever this attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or the graveyard by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. We're going to have artifacts in our graveyard, so we can take advantage of that by just paying life for them now and save that mana for something else. Aaron Benalia's Ruin. We can pay a white and a black and tap it to sacrifice another creature, and then we get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. We want our creatures to die anyways because we get to proliferate with our commander Brimaz. So now we get that requirement met by a creature dying. It doesn't have to be a Phyrexian. Turns out Aaron here is a Phyrexian as well, so if it were to die, we get benefit from that too, and it's making each of our creatures get bigger, which is great. Bronze Guardian. It has double strike and ward 2, but it says other artifacts you control have ward 2. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. This is a potential upgrade for sure if we're wanting to protect our stuff and only we are choosing what we sacrifice, which is okay, but at 40 cents, not a bad upgrade. Cathar's Crusade. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, which we're going to have a lot of, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. We get to build our board over time by just creatures entering our battlefield, which is really sweet. Digsite Engineer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can pay 2 mana, and if you do, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. With us having a huge amount of artifacts in this deck, why not benefit from that by just paying that 2 mana? Emergency Weld. We can return an artifact or a creature from our graveyard to our hand, and then we get to create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Since a lot of our creatures are going to be dying, this can be a way to bring them back to our hand, and we get a 1/1 potential sack fodder for a Fane the Broker. This has a lot of options. We can tap Fane to sacrifice a creature, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. We can also tap him to remove a counter from a creature we control to create a treasure token. We can also tap him to sacrifice an artifact, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. We can also pay 4 mana to untap Fane. I think this is a great multi-purpose card for us because we use all of these. We want to sacrifice creatures, we're going to be putting counters on our creatures, and we have artifacts that we can sacrifice. This is a great addition to the deck only for 20 cents. Felidar Retreat. Whenever a land enters our battlefield, we get to choose one of the 2 options. We can create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or more importantly, we get a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. The second option is going to be the best one out of these 2 for us because we're building up our creatures over time, and vigilance is also a great thing for commander. Foundry Inspector. I figured since we have a lot of artifact spells, maybe we can make them 1 less, so this can help us cast more things, especially since we're in white and black. We don't have the typical ramp like green does, so this could be an option for us. Next is Lashiel Clockwork Scholar. We can prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures we control. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enter the battlefield under our control, draw a card, but this only triggers once each turn. We have artifact creatures in this deck, and we can take advantage of drawing cards from Lashiel, so let's do that. Next is Mere Retriever. Whenever this dies, we return another target artifact from our graveyard to our hand. We have a lot of creatures that are dying, and if they happen to be an artifact, we can grab them back to our hand, and this is also an artifact that we can trigger off of our commander. Together Forever. When this enters the battlefield, we do support 2, which means put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. We can also pay 1 mana, choose target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. We want our creatures to die so we can bring them back to our hand, and we're going to have a lot of counters on our creatures, so I figured this would be a great one, and for only 15 cents. If you like any of the cards I mentioned, they'll be in the description down below, as well as the pre-con if you haven't purchased that already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.